That's it. We're doing it. We're finally making it. We're making a full-on feature Hollywood feature film. Isaac, did you hear? We're making a film. Isaac's pumped. Okay, we're not actually filming it in Hollywood, but we are making a feature film with the most talented filmmaker on YouTube, Danny Gevirtz.
120 pages later, here it is. The thing I am absolutely most proud of in my career. I just feel like this is my time to take that next leap into my career as a filmmaker, which is making a feature film and taking you along with me, like I always have. Am I technically ready to do this? I don't know.
Danny.
Tyler's also pumped. Let's be honest, it's mostly Danny. It's his script, he's directing it. We're putting together a really good crew, and I am becoming an executive producer. That's basically fancy speak for I don't have enough time to be there on set for 2 months straight making this thing, but I really want to make it happen, so I'm gonna help to fund it and promote it and basically try my best to actually make it happen. And I'm gonna be part of documenting the actual process of making Danny's our first feature film, which is insane. It's like a lifelong dream of mine to go on set and just document a feature film being made.
This film is called I Think I'm Sick. This story right here is written as a dark comedy coming of age that I feel like is very unique to my personality. And without giving too much away about the story essentially goes like this. It follows the senior year of a boy named Will, who after a failed attempted suicide, gets a second chance at life. But instead of having this cliche rebirth and this full of gratefulness to the world for the second opportunity at life, Will very much feels like he doesn't regret his decision to try and take his own life, and he fears as though he's going to try again.
I've read the script. It's so good. You guys are gonna absolutely love it. And I think this might be the first or one of the first, let's call it the first feature film made by YouTubers 100%. There's no like big investors giving us money, no Hollywood production studios or anything like that. We are putting together $500,000. Hopefully we can get $500,000 to make this film. And you, my friend, can be a part of this. You can help make this film. We're doing an Indiegogo, trying to raise $50,000, and we've already 89% is, you can still be a part of it. We're doing premieres across America and in Toronto. Come hang out with us. Be a part of making history. Finally, YouTubers doing something legit. That was a joke for all the trolls out there. But I gotta say, I'm very excited. Danny is so incredibly talented that I have 100% confidence and faith that this is gonna turn out to be really good. Especially reading that script. You know right away with Danny's skills, it's gonna be so fun. And it's gonna be just so nice to be there on set and watch this thing happen. Be a part of it. It's gonna be really fun. See you at the premieres, especially the Toronto one. I'm gonna be there. I wanna see as many of you as possible there. It's gonna be fun. Post-COVID hangout, filmmaker, just fun. That of course means cinema cameras. And what better place to test out a cinema camera than Evil Empire Studios. Jesse, what's happening here?
I'm trying to be a kid again.
Aren't we all?
Just trying to reclaim my youth.
Jake's in the house.
Yeah, man. Week of dreams right here.
Just living it up. If you haven't seen this place, it's huge. It's ginormous. And Jesse and Christoph and the rest of the guys, they decided to make like shipping container offices in here, which is, I don't know if I'm allowed to like spoil any reveals, but this is Christoph. Just a quick little peek. That's all you get. That's all you get. You want to see Jesse's sneak peeks? Just as random as I thought it would be. Sneak peeks, sneak peeks. You can't just film feature film on a mirrorless camera. You need a cinema camera. I mean, I guess you could, but it wouldn't be as good quality. It'd be a lot harder. So today we're gonna be talking about the Kinefinity Mavo Edge 6K. Even though it's not the cinema camera we're using for the feature film, we're using a Sony Venice, but that's like $40,000. And you know, most of us can't afford $40,000 cameras, but this might be possible. Jesse, you've been making more videos lately. It's been great.
I made a second channel just so that I could make videos again. I don't know how that makes any sense, but it does.
I always wait for the end of the month video from Jesse.
And I always make it.
You always make the deadline.
Videos without deadlines is
Yeah,
hard. I
you
don't know
did
how you do it.
When you're shooting something like a feature film, Hollywood film, we're not shooting in Hollywood, but we're gonna call it a Hollywood film. Here are some reasons why you would want a cinema camera over something like a mirrorless camera like I'm using right now. Number one is the image quality. Even though the image quality is pretty great out of something like the Sony a7S III, the image out of this Kinefinity Mavo Edge 6K is a whole lot better. It's hard to describe the differences. It's like, there's like a look to cinema cameras. I don't know if it's just the extra dynamic range or the highlight roll off or just the colors being a little bit better, but all of that combined, the image is just much better. And when you're filming something really important, something really big, you kind of want the best possible quality. And along with that are the codecs. This thing has so many different codecs and resolutions that you can shoot at, which just gives you way more options. I love that I can shoot in ProRes straight out of camera. The Sony, I can't shoot in ProRes. Maybe I don't need it for the purposes of my YouTube videos, but again, for a big feature film, being able to shoot in ProRes is kind of a big deal. Very vicarious. I'm trying to put the camera on a windowsill. Blown out, we're gonna have to ramp shutter speed. I don't have my ND filter on here right now, but this thing has a built-in ND filter, and not just any ND filter, it has an electronic variable ND, and that means you can just like scroll through. It's almost like you're turning a variable ND, but you're just doing it electronically, and it's not changing the colors or messing around with stuff opposed to the polarizers of the variable NDs that we normally use. It's so handy having a built-in electronic variable ND. It sounds like a small thing, but it is a really huge thing, especially if you're swapping lenses and it might be a big rig that you need to swap lenses and then you have to get ND on there and all that. It's a nightmare on a big set, and just having that variable ND, pretty good. Are you used to the weight of this thing? Some negatives are, of course, that it is way heavier than something like what I'm used to.
It's not a negative for me, Matty. How strong do I have to tell you I am?
He just wants to be at the gym while working. Well, you need probably a small crew to work with a cinema camera, any cinema camera really. You just need to
hold it. Just to hold it.
You need more hands, and then you need more, bigger supporting equipment. Like a gimbal has to be bigger, a slider has to be more beefy. Everything needs to be more beefy. So that is the biggest downside. One of the really big things in terms of like gear and production, and one of the big reasons why Danny is opting for the Venice is that this also has dual native ISO, and that is a big deal because normally you're shooting at like a ISO 800, I think is the base ISO here, and that's fine, but then sometimes you need a little bit of light. You're maybe doing a night exterior or something, and instead of having to blast massive lights to bring up the ambient levels, having a dual ISO, like you can just go to 5000 ISO, that saves a lot of setting up and maybe even saves you having to get big lights to bring that ambient level up. So yeah, that's really nice on that. But we do also have dual native ISO on the Sony a7S III. I don't know if you guys knew that. It's got dual native ISO, 640 and 12,800. Did you know that, Isaac?
Yeah, but is it a cinema camera?
It's not a cinema camera now.
The amount of clout that goes with just saying cinema camera.
The next biggest thing is when you show up on set, you look cool with this.
Look at this.
You look legit. That's a good reason.
Oh, it's heavy.
It's light.
In a good
See,
way.
It's like floating away.
The battery.
It's the battery. Christoph, when would you use a cinema camera versus a mirrorless camera?
Shooting a movie that would be watched in a cinema. I love cinema camera quality. I have like a GH4 and an A7 IV, but anytime I go to a cinema camera, especially a full frame cinema camera, there's just some sort of magic that's there.
There's like a quality to it that's hard to, like, if you were just to explain it to especially a non-filmmaker person, you're like,
I don't know, actually, I want to do tests side by side with like an A7 IV and my Red and do the exact same lens and everything and just see if it's just in my head or if there's actually something tangible there. But there's just something about like every time I'm going on a trip, I'm like, oh, I should just bring my cinema camera.
Yeah. It's when you want like the highest quality, when you're shooting something that you need the highest quality. It's also really nice that built into this monitor, we have both peaking, nice and easy to get there, and then we have false color. And I don't know if people understand what false color is, but it's just a way better way of seeing where the exposure is. So like right away you can see that those windows are blown out because they're red. That's just like really, really handy. And that'll save you so much time in terms of lighting, and then save you in post because you didn't completely mess up things. If you're just using like a waveform, or oh my gosh, if you're just using like a histogram, you're gonna
a histogram?
It's so gross. Did you just snort?
I snort when I laugh. I spit on people who use Instagrams.
Idiots using history. False color, so much better. I love this kind of stuff. I wish I had it on every camera.
You know what would be good if the camera showed real color?
And then lastly, this camera you can actually build out, and you have a big V-mount battery that you can use, so you can hook up all sorts of stuff to that. Whereas if I wanted to build out this A7S III, it'd be a lot trickier. And with cinema stuff, you usually have to use a lot of like, you know, you got a focus puller, you got sound going on, you got all of these other things that you need to build onto here, like wireless transmitters. I don't need any of that for my YouTube videos. When you're filming a feature, you kind of need that stuff. So this is easy to build out, this not so much. Clearly not as smooth as Jesse over here on the one wheel. How's trying to be young working out?
It hurts so much I can barely lift my left leg. Oh, there you go.
Got my first little road rash in a while. It's been like a good 10 years since I've had one of these. I wasn't sure if I was allowed to come here because it's skateboarders, you know, I'm a rollerblader.
You're allowed. I've grown up enough. You can come on a scooter and I'd be okay.
But yeah, this Mavo Edge 6K is pretty dang good. I'm not gonna film my YouTube videos on it, but if you need a cinema camera, this thing's pretty beefy. And if you wanna be a part of what we're doing with Danny and the feature film and all that, this is gonna be your last day. Depends on when I post this. It'll either be your last 2 days or last day to be a part of it. So go and check out the Indiegogo, because I would love to hang out with you at the premiere. All right, how do we sign this off? Like that?
Like this.